Hello there. I'm Don the Gravity Guru. Gotta call myself something. When I was younger, I had some ideas about gravity, and I tried to contact places like NASA and astrophysicists and universities, and I never had any luck. A response where people would actually say, well, what do you think, And well, now I'm an old man and I'm not really fussy about trying to make anything out of it or anything, but I thought I'd go on YouTube and maybe tell some of my ideas just in case they're any use to anybody. And so here I am, and I'm going to talk about gravity. Now, when you're talking about gravity, then really speaking, you're not talking about what gravity is. I mean, we know it's an attractive force, but what you're looking at is a way to beat gravity. Why does an airplane fly? Why is a black hole like it is? How did cosmic dust come together to form a planet or a star? I mean, stars come first, the planets come afterwards, and they're optional. They're either bits of leftover dust that have come together into the system after the main star has been formed, or they're little explosions on the big star and they've shot lumps up in the air and it's cooled and been captured and it becomes a planet. So there's options, and there always are options. It doesn't matter how you think about things, there are always options, no matter how unlikely they are. And because some of the options are unlikely is the reason why that they've never been pursued. And so our attempt to get into space, which is the thing, if you to beat gravity, you want to get into space. And at the present time, I think it's probably going to be a necessity shortly, with another extinction event coming in the next few thousand years or whatever. But eventually it's going to happen that if man is going to continue as a race, then he has to be able to move somewhere else while the extinction event happens and then come back perhaps, or ways to endure it while we're actually here. And so I thought about making a video not only about gravity itself and the way the universe is created, but I want to have a bit of fun before I start and talk about space travel. Now, there aren't many of you that would have not looked at Star Trek and the Enterprise. Now, the modern Star Trek, I don't go a great deal on it. Some of the stuff that they have is rather far-fetched, some of the characters, there's a lot of aliens, and in the present one there's a guy who's a doctor, and he is a holographic character that is able to actually pick stuff up and act exactly like as if he was a proper human being. Now, these things are ridiculous, I suppose, but I did at one time think about a means of putting a holograph in space and actually building a spaceship that had gravity. Now, looking at it, that there is a long, long way in the future. But I thought that I would like to look at, like, the Enterprise was a big vessel. It's fictional. The capacity for 1,000 people crew, and people lived on it forever without being able to needing supplies and stuff like that. They could manage to manufacture them out of whatever matter there is in space. And so they endured there for a long time. Now that there is also in the future. But what we do at present need is an enclosure. Probably in orbit to start off with, but we need an enclosure that's full of air, big enough to sustain people, maybe 1,000 people, and we haven't got one. At the moment we're trying to fire rockets up into space with a few tons, put them in orbit, carry a little bit more up, and we make a space station where a few people live in cramped conditions with no gravity for a few months and come back, and the radiation and the conditions out there cause body deterioration where the bones deteriorate and all that sort of thing. Now, if we were to try and put something into space like the Enterprise, it would need to be a kilometre across diameter, I suppose. Now, you are not going to get a vessel that big to reach escape velocity, 15,000 miles an hour, I think it is. So you would have to build it here and find a way of getting it into space. And in my next little episode, I'm going to have a little think about it, how I can present it. Then I'm going to try and make you a spaceship and explain. I'll try and tell you about the spaceship in one episode, and the next episode I'll tell you why and how I think I could get it there. Anyway, this is sort of a little trailer just to see how it'll go, and I'll be back.